It's 11:30 p.m. You're in bed. Everything around you is quiet. The lights are off. The phone is face down. You've done everything right. But your mind is anything but quiet. A second ago, you thought about tomorrow's meeting. Then whether you should have said something differently earlier today. Then the bills. Then that unfinished conversation you keep postponing. Then the question, am I even doing this right? And somewhere between that thought and the next one, time dissolved. And without even noticing, it's 1 a.m. Let me ask you something honest. You want to sleep, don't you? You're not fighting it. You're not choosing to stay awake. You're desperate for it. So then, why does the brain make closing down this hard? That question has been sitting at the center of sleep science for decades. And the answer runs far deeper than most people expect. Here's something that should genuinely stop you in your tracks. Among all living creatures on this planet, the species that struggles most with sleep almost exclusively is us. Think about a dog. A cat. Even a lion in the wild. The moment they're tired, they're out. Completely. Within minutes. Deep sleep. No negotiation. No resistance. But us? We're exhausted. The body is completely drained. The eyes are heavy. And yet the brain steps in and says, wait, there are still unresolved things. And right there, in that exact moment, the root of the problem lives. Now I want you to sit with a question for a second. When was the last time you fell asleep the moment your head hit the pillow? Not passed out from total exhaustion, but genuinely, peacefully drifted off within a few minutes? For many people, that memory is distant, or it never existed at all. Here's how the system works. The brain is constantly running a background signal between threat and safety. A continuous, automatic scan. And if it detects that something is unresolved, real or not, it keeps the organism awake. Because from a survival standpoint, sleeping while a problem exists is a risk. Now here's the part that changes everything. A real danger? That makes sense. You either fight or you run. But something you're just thinking about? The brain barely distinguishes between the two. What if this goes wrong? Thought gets processed almost identically to a genuine physical threat. The danger created by a thought is, neurologically, nearly identical to a real one. So a person lying in bed worrying about money, and a person genuinely standing in front of danger, they're running the same biological alarm system, the same hormones, the same elevated heart rate, the same locked open eyes. And here's what makes it even more complicated. The more you try to force yourself to sleep, the more alert the brain becomes. Because effort itself is a beta state activity. You can't muscle your way into rest. The harder you push, the further away it gets. Let that sit for a moment. Now let's go deeper into the actual frequencies of the brain. Because understanding this, really understanding it, changes how you approach the whole problem. Beta. This is your brain fully switched on. Driving, presenting, solving a problem, having a heated conversation. High frequency, intense activity, sharp attention. Completely normal, and when it's needed, absolutely essential. But here's the catch. The brain has an extremely hard time telling the difference between doing and worrying. So even when you're lying still, doing absolutely nothing, if something is running in your mind, the brain stays in beta. It's essentially saying, we're not safe yet. Stay sharp. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people's default state in the evening isn't rest. It's low-grade beta. Not intense focus, but not calm either. A kind of mental idle that keeps the engine running when it should be powering down. Alpha. This is a very special place. You're awake, but completely calm. Not reacting to anything, not solving anything, just being. When you watch the ocean and your thoughts dissolve. When a piece of music takes you somewhere and you forget where you are. When you're genuinely present in a conversation, not planning your next sentence. When a slow morning coffee feels like enough. This state is the bridge. The transition zone between the noise of the day and the quiet of sleep. And it has become genuinely rare in modern life. Because we're always either doing something or thinking about something. Just being without a task, without a goal, without a screen has quietly become a kind of luxury that most people have forgotten how to access. Theta. This is the actual gateway. Theta is that magical threshold. Roughly 1 to 2 minutes before sleep finally arrives. The place where the brain slows down. Images begin to form on their own. And thoughts start drifting past without you being able to hold on to them. Have you ever felt this? Right on the edge of sleep, a strange idea floats up. An image flickers across the inside of your eyelids. Someone says something in your ear, but you don't know who. A place appears that doesn't quite exist. That moment, that's theta. That's the door. Delta. And beyond that door is delta. True deep sleep. The phase where the body does its real work, cellular repair, immune rebuilding, memory consolidation. The phase that most people who struggle with sleep never fully reach. If you struggle to fall asleep, here's the precise problem. You can't move from beta to alpha. Without alpha, theta doesn't come. Without theta, delta, true restoration, stays out of reach. We're talking about 90-minute sleep cycles. Miss the first one, and your next window opens 90 minutes later. So you lie down at midnight, but your mind won't quiet. You finally drift off at 1:30. You have to be up at 7 o'clock. Do the math. To actually get sufficient restorative sleep from that point, you'd need to stay in bed until 9 o'clock. Most people can't do that. They get up at 7 o'clock anyway, and they carry that deficit, that heaviness, that irritability, that low-level fog through the entire day. And then the next night, the cycle repeats. So what can we actually do? I want to tell you about something more powerful than most sleep medications, with no side effects and no cost. It's already inside you. It has always been inside you. Your breath. But not in the vague, generic, just breathe deeply sense. A very specific rhythm, one that has been studied, measured, and consistently shown to shift the brain out of beta. The 4 to 6 breathing technique. Inhale slowly through your nose for 4 seconds. No force. No effort. As if the air is simply filling you on its own. The chest rising gently. The belly softening. Then exhale even slower over 6 seconds. Let it go completely. Don't hold anything back. Here's why this specific rhythm matters. The breathing pattern of a person in deep sleep looks almost exactly like this. Long, slow, slightly extended exhales. So what you're doing when you practice this consciously is sending the brain a very clear signal. Look, my body is already breathing like it's asleep. That means we're safe. That means there's no threat. That means we can let go. And the brain listens. The sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight engine, begins to step back. The parasympathetic system takes over. The vagus nerve activates, that long, wandering nerve that touches nearly every major organ and is one of the body's primary pathways to calm. The heart rate slows. The muscles begin to release. The body shifts, fully and genuinely, into safe mode. Research shows that after just 5 minutes of this technique, the brain begins its transition from beta to alpha. By 10 minutes, the effect reaches its peak. And during this time, thoughts will come. Of course they will. That's completely natural. That's not the problem. Here's the distinction that changes everything. Thoughts arriving is not the issue. Entering a thought is. There is a difference between a thought passing through your awareness and a thought that you follow, that you pick up, examine, expand, and build a whole story around. The first is inevitable. The second is a choice, even if it doesn't feel like one. When a thought comes, simply notice it. Watch it. Let it pass. Like leaves floating down a river, don't jump on them. Don't reach for them. Just observe from the bank. And gently, without frustration, bring your attention back to the breath, back to the body, back to the weight of yourself sinking into the bed. Every time you do this, every single time you catch a drifting thought and return to the breath, you are strengthening something. You are training the mind to release. And that training compounds, night after night. There's one more layer I want to share, something less talked about, but remarkably effective once you try it. If you have a dream you remember from recently, something from the night before, still vivid, still carrying a texture, write it down. First thing in the morning, before you even get out of bed, before the day pulls you away from it. Just a few lines, the images, the feeling, the strange logic of it. Because when you're doing the 4 to 6 breath at night and you bring that dream back into focus, when you step back into its images, trace its details, let its feeling return, something interesting happens. The mind moves naturally toward a theta-like frequency, as if the brain recognizes a familiar door and takes the shortcut straight back to it. This isn't mystical. It's practical neuroscience. The brain is a pattern recognition machine. It remembers where sleep lives. And a recent dream is one of the most direct coordinates you can give it. You can also use any image that carries a sense of safety and calm for you. A place you love, a moment of real peace, a landscape that slows you down. The key isn't the specific content. The key is that it pulls your attention inward and backward, away from the future, away from the unresolved, and into something already experienced, already safe. Falling asleep is, at its core, one of the most deeply human acts there is. It is the act of letting go, of trusting, of saying to your body, to your mind, to the quiet darkness around you, okay, you take it from here. And for many people, that is genuinely hard, not because they don't want to rest, but because letting go requires a kind of faith, a belief that things will still be there in the morning, that the unresolved can wait, that you are safe enough right now, in this moment, to stop holding everything together. People who struggle to fall asleep often struggle with this in other areas of life too. They hold control tightly. They stay vigilant, not out of weakness, actually, often out of deep sensitivity, deep responsibility, deep care. The same qualities that make someone thoughtful and conscientious during the day can be the very things that keep them awake at night. But here's what I want you to hold on to. You were born with this capacity. You slept as a baby. You slept as a child, deeply, fully, without effort. No technique required. That ability didn't disappear. It was never removed from you. It just got buried. Under years of accumulated thought, under anxiety that became habitual, under the blue light of screens and the weight of a world that never fully stops asking things of you. And the good news, the real good news is this. Every night, in that particular quiet that belongs only to the dark hours, you have an opportunity to practice, to remember, to return to something that was always yours. For seconds in, 6 seconds out, and allow it